Welcome to the Sleigh Your Waste This Christmas webinar, and thanks for taking the time to join us on this Thursday evening to find out a bit more about having a sustainable Christmas. My name's Teresa and this is Elizabeth. So we both work at the Southern Metropolitan Regional Council running the Recycle Right program. Firstly, before we start, we wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we are working on, the Whadjuk Noongar people, and pay our respects to their elders past and present. We're currently at our Regional Resource Recovery Centre in Canning Vale, where behind us you can possibly see a lot of recycling waste. So this is the materials recovery facility where many of Perth's yellow top recycling bins are being processed and sorted. So just a bit of housekeeping. If you can please keep your speakers on mute while the presentations are happening. We will be recording this webinar, so if you have an issue of maybe being on screen, please also hide your video. And we will allow time for some questions after each speaker and also at the end of the presentation if time permits. So for tonight's webinar, we have a number of waste and education experts from our Recycle Right members. We've got Isabel Mari, Coordinator of Waste Education at the Eastern Metropolitan Regional Council, to speak about how to recycle specific Christmas items. Isabel can wave. We've got Nabila Antipas, the Education and Community Officer from the Western Metropolitan Regional Council, to talk about how to avoid food waste this Christmas. And then we have Pia Coventry, Strategic Waste Officer, and Vanessa McGuinness, Waste Project Officer from the City of Canning. Pia and Vanessa will talk about having a sustainable Christmas experience. To kick off the presentation, Elizabeth Wilkinson, our Waste Education and Project Officer, will provide an overview of household waste and recycling systems here in Perth. So over to Elizabeth.
Thanks, Teresa. So you may be aware that we've got a number of different waste systems in Perth at the moment. So there's a mix of 2-bin and 3-bin systems in the Perth metro area. There's some other, I guess, sort of more unique ones over in the regions, but what we'll be focusing on today will be mostly to do with Perth Metro. So the bin systems that you can find in the Perth Metro are the 2-bin system, so just your general waste with a dark green lid, or sometimes you'll find a red lid, and then your yellow topped recycling bin. And then you'll usually have a bulk verge collection or like garden organics, and then your bulk junk collection. And through that we collect your recyclables and your bulk verge waste, and then your general waste tends to go to landfill. The next system you could have in your area is the 3-bin garden organic system. So we do have 2 different 3-bin systems in Perth, and it's important to sort of know the difference between the 2 because we do put different things in the lime green topped bin. So if your council only takes garden organics, so just things that have grown in the garden, then you're on what we call the GO system. So that is your 3-bin garden organic system. And with that one, you have the lime topped garden organics bin, so that's everything that sort of grows in the garden can go in there, and then your yellow top recycling bin, and generally a red top general waste bin, as well as your verge collections. And then the last one, which we only have in about 4 councils at the moment in Perth, so Melville, Fremantle, East Fremantle and Bassendean, and then Bayswater's just about to roll it out, is the 3-bin food organics garden organic systems, or FOGO for short. And that one is where instead of just garden organics in that lime green bin, we also take food scraps and pet waste and tea bags, coffee grinds, shredded paper, all those sorts of things that we can't necessarily put in the other bins, but that we can recover through a FOGO system through some composting. So just a bit of a breakdown of these. So your 2-bin system, this is sort of what it looks like here. So just remembering that with our recycling, the rules are actually the same across all of Perth Metro at the moment. So that is a really good one to keep in mind. And you'll notice that as we click through these next couple of slides, is that the only things we try to put in our recycling now is to keep it simple. So you've got your steel and aluminium cans, like your Coke cans, food tins, that sort of stuff. Your unshredded paper, so no shredded paper, just your normal size, this sort of paper, and cardboard. So making sure it's clean and dry. Your glass bottles and jars, the metal lids from those can go in as well, and then hard plastic containers and bottles. So we try not to take the soft plastic because that sort of stuff gets mixed up with our paper and cardboard, but just focusing on the hard things, so things like water bottles, milk bottles, that sort of stuff. And then your general waste for a two-bin system is sort of everything else. And then you'll notice the recycling is the same again for the 3-bin go. And then in your garden bin, you just have your garden organics. So if you're not in one of those 4 councils that takes the food and stuff as well, then it'll just be this one. And your general waste is sort of everything else. With this system, we don't recycle food waste. It just sort of goes to landfill unless you've got your own home compost. And then with the 3rd system, which is in the East Fremantle, Melville and Bassendean, is your FOGO system. So we will be talking about these systems quite a lot tonight. So if you aren't from WA, just keep that in mind, that the waste sorting rules in your area might be a little bit different, but just really important to keep in mind for this presentation that recycling rules are the same across Perth. We might move on to our first presenter.
So Isabel, if you would like to share or present yourself and speak, and
thanks, Teresa.
I'll stop sharing this. Great, go for it.
Hi, everybody. It's really nice to be here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the recycling items that you might come across over the festive season specifically. So obviously there's lots of gift giving happening over the festive season. So you might come across lots of wrapping paper. Going back to kind of what Liz was saying, we've got those groups for recycling. So wrapping paper, that is paper, fits under that paper and cardboard group. So you don't need to take any of the sticky tape off that. You can take your wrapping paper if you're no longer going to be able to reuse it and pop that into your yellow lid recycling bin. Gift bags are really common. Gift bags come in all different shapes and sizes. So I've got a couple of them here. So these are both paper and their handles are made of kind of a rolled paper. So if you need to get rid of these are fine to go inside your recycling bin. But there are also other types of gift bags. So gift bags that might have a fabric handle or a ribbon or a rope. So this one here has got a ribbon. This is now a textile included with a paper bag. So really what you need to do with these is, if you're going to be putting it in your recycling bin, is to actually pull out the ribbon or the rope or whatever they've used. So you can just kind of pull it out of the holes or rip it. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to hang on to this bag. And this one also has a little bit of extra plastic on it, and it's there's a little plastic tag. This would have kind of hooked onto one of those metal kind of rods inside a department store, and so that, if you can remove that as well, that would be ideal, because then we've got 2 bits of contamination, if you will, onto the paper bag. So other types of things that you might be coming across over the Christmas period is things like that can't go into your recycling bin. So there's a lot of sticky tape, there's a lot of whether it be curling ribbon or bows, plastic, fabric bows, all those things we put on gifts to make them look extra pretty. The problem is a lot of that stuff, you can't actually put it in your recycling bin, so you need to remove them. And an example or a substitute that you can use is this here. This is called washi tape. So it's a paper sticky tape. So it's really pretty and decorative, so it might make your gifts look a little bit extra lovely, but you can put those on your gifts. You can also even make your own glue with just flour and water, so you don't need to use tape at all. That's kind of another thing that you can use. Tinsel, we get heaps of tinsel or things like tinsel, plastic, decorative items. They're long and stringy, so they definitely need to go inside your general waste bin. And like Liz was saying, general waste bin can either be a red lid or a dark green lid. And as always, definitely try and hang on to those decorations. So resist the urge to kind of get rid of all the decorations over the festive season end and reuse them for next year. You can also get wrapping paper that's made out of a foil, or people might be using things like this. This is kind of like a plastic cellophane. So if you do either give or receive any gifts out of this type of material, it's basically scrunchy. It's like a scrunchable plastic. So you can either put this one in your general waste bin or the Red Cycle collection at Coles and Woolworths, because it's a soft plastic. And with your FOGO bin, if you do live in one of those 4 councils in Perth where you can have a FOGO bin, or you've got one right now, so you might come across things like paper plates from your entertaining, or napkins, even things like bamboo cutlery. So you can put those in a bit of a tub and ask your guests to separate them. Depending, if you might even have a little kind of container, some sort of bucket. This is an example of a kitchen caddy that came with one of the councils that have got the 3-bin FOGO system. You can put that out for your guests to chuck those things in there to help separate. If you've got excess recycling over the festive season, you can actually remove all of that sticky tape or plastic labels. Sometimes there might be a plastic label with your name or address on the box. If you take all of those off, then you can put that in your FOGO bin. But it's always preferable to have clean cardboard and paper in the recycling bin. Just put it in your FOGO bin if you're kind of feeling the squeeze over the festive season in terms of space. And I guess a couple of tips in terms of what to do over the festive season if you are feeling the pinch in your recycling bin. So fold or collapse all of your cardboard boxes. They can take up heaps of space. So put them around the outside or the perimeter of your bin, and then I kind of fill all the center with all the recyclables, just making sure that you keep those recyclables loose. Don't put them in a bag inside your recycling bin. And over the festive season, you might find some councils around Perth actually do extra pickups. So they might do an extra recycling pickup. Some councils are actually doing a pickup of all their bins. So if you jump on your local council's website, there should be heaps of really useful information about waste collections, or if you get one of these waste and recycling calendars that come out to you. The people that make this put a lot of time and effort into this one. So if you have still got this on your fridge, then have a little look. It will tell you if you've got an extra collection in your area. And I think that's pretty much it for me. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Isabel. Does anyone at this point have any questions for Isabel? If you would like to unmute yourself or type a question into the chat, or we can save for a bit later. No questions? Okay, all right. Thank you, Isabel. We might move on to our next presenter. So Nabila from the Western Metropolitan Regional Council. Nabila, would you like to unmute yourself and show your presentation?
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Teresa, and thank you everyone for coming this evening. It's great to see that there's many people interested in enjoying the festive season but reducing waste at the same time. And I'm particularly happy to be given the topic of food waste to talk about and avoiding food waste, because I'm a real foodie and I love enjoying meals with friends and family, and sharing food is like synonymous with this festive season. So I'm going to share my presentation in a moment. I'm going to share with you a little jingle, because we all love a jingle at Christmas, to help you remember some tips on how to reduce food waste. And then I'll share with you some ideas when you have food waste, what you're going to do with it. So sharing my screen. Okay. So I work for the Western Metropolitan Regional Council, and the logos of the councils at the bottom are the councils who we operate services for and manage waste for. So sharing food makes us happy, and we've been sharing food together since the beginning of time. Coming together around the food table has mental and physical benefits. This is because when we get together to eat, you feel safe and you feel calm and you feel happy, and our primitive brain allows us to feel these feelings of safety and well-being and release emotions of joy and happiness. So there are all these great positive emotions that come that happen when you share a meal with your friends and family. But tonight we want to think about how to share food but rein in the waste at the same time. So I have a little jingle that I'm going to share with you tonight to avoid food waste, and it's mitigate the waste, moderate, refrigerate, and then recreate. And I'll talk about these one at a time. So to mitigate waste in the first place is all about planning, thinking about who's coming along and delegating meals to different people, and also thinking about portions so you don't sort of overshop and overcook. When it comes to shopping, there's plenty of low waste shopping options for you. Farmers markets are fantastic for shopping low waste. You can buy fresh fruit produce, bakery goods, and often you can get meat and seafood from farmers markets as well. Bulk food stores are a great place to shop at all times, but particularly around the festive time where you've got this new fancy recipe that you're trying out and you just need a few like glacé cherries, or you just need a few frozen strawberries, freeze-dried frozen strawberries for this one-off dessert that you're making, so that you don't need to buy a whole packet and then have leftovers that you won't use and potentially become food waste. Another great tip, which people love, is asking your guests to bring containers with lids. It's like inviting them to bring a container, and then everybody wins because the guests get to go home with some leftovers and then they don't have to cook the next day. And then you also mitigate any excess bulk food waste that you might have. So the next, once you've mitigated the waste by planning and preparing and shopping wisely, I suggest that you moderate. Now, this is a little bit of a tricky one because oftentimes you just want to show abundance and put out absolutely everything that everybody has bought. But I'd recommend that you don't put all the food out all at once and just add more food to the table as you go. You know, like, do we really need 5 different types of cheese and 8 different types of crackers all open at the same time? I don't think so. So even when it comes to meals, sometimes people might have bought a double up, just put one of them out and see how you go and add it to the table as needed. Okay, so now you've mitigated some of the waste, you've moderated how much you put out. It's time to refrigerate. Quickly get the leftover food into the fridge. So in between each meal, make a point of packing up what's left and popping it straight in the fridge, covering it well, sealing it up so it lasts. Yeah, this way you can go to your Boxing Day party with absolute confidence that you're not going to make your friends and family ill from poorly refrigerated leftover prawn cocktail or leftover Christmas ham that didn't quite make it in the fridge. So just really be snavvy about it. And if there's bits of food that can be saved straight away, get them in the fridge. And then if it's things that you're not going to use within the next couple of days, consider freezing the excess. There's actually so many things that you can freeze. And it's amazing. You can freeze bread, Christmas pudding, Christmas cake, fruit mince pies, fruit cake. Oh, the list is endless. You can even freeze cooked meat. Yeah, my personal favourite is the Christmas pudding. I love surprising the family in Christmas in July with a little Christmas pudding that I've put aside at Christmas time. You can even freeze brandy sauce as well. So if you're not sure about, don't have too much confidence around freezing, I suggest that you internet search the best way to freeze the food and then the best way to defrosting and reheating, because that's part of the puzzle, is how to actually defrost it successfully and reheat it so that you get like a nice result. So yeah, just have a little internet search and you'll find plenty of articles and advice on how to reheat and defrost appropriately. Okay, now the exciting bit, you've up to the recreate. So recreate, that's right, it's getting creative with your leftovers. Now we've all there's oodles and oodles of ideas of what things you can do with your leftovers. I'm just sharing a couple of ideas tonight, just really simple. You don't have to because let's face it, by the time Christmas has been and gone, everyone's a bit sick of the kitchen, a bit exhausted, and you just want to take it simple for the next couple of days. So you can lightly pan fry some of your meat and with leftover sauces like gravy and cranberry sauce. It's a nice way to do it. This one I love, gourmet toasties, and there is no end to how creative you can get here. So some of that fancy cheese from your cheese platter with some yummy dips that you've used or cranberry sauce, whack on some ham or roast veggies, and you've got the most amazing gourmet toasty. The next one I haven't tried personally, but it's suggested from a friend, is to turn your turkey or pork meat into like a Mexican themed meal. So for a taco or tortilla filling, you mix it with some passata and some Mexican spice, and then there you go. You've got a nice simple Mexican delicious meal. I personally make salads with leftover roast veggies, and I might add a grain like quinoa or rice, make a yummy dressing, just really basic with olive oil and like a vinegar or lemon juice, and yeah, got a yummy salad. Jacket potatoes are a good way. You can add in the meats and leftover salads. If you end up with a little fruit left over from your fruit salad platter, if it's sort of been sat out for a little bit, just make sure you don't throw out those little odds and ends of fruit. You can pop them in the freezer and then pull them out later for a smoothie. My little tip here is when you put the fruit in, just freeze it on a tray in individual pieces so that when you and then you can transfer it later into a container or a glass jar or something, so that when you go to make your smoothie, you can pull out the amount that you need without pulling out like the whole amount in one go. So a couple of final ideas on this point is omelettes, also really easy. Making the most of your fish bones and meat bones with making stock. And then lots of leftover bits and pieces you can throw into a pie or a pasty. So just some really simple ideas there to get you going. So now we've talked about how you can mitigate the waste in the first place, how to moderate the food going out on the day, how to refrigerate it and recreate it, but you're still, at the end of the day, you're going to have some food waste. This is where we come into organics composting. If you've got a FOGO bin, it's fairly simple. You just food scraps go into your FOGO bin. If you don't have a FOGO bin, some options for you at home. I always say if you've got FOMO that you don't have FOGO, you can do composting at home. It's also a little bit of a learned skill, but once you get going on it, it's really simple. So there's compost, worm farms, and bokashi. A couple of options that you might try at home. If you're not sure how to get started, on the WMRC YouTube channel, myself and my colleague Laura recorded a tutorial on how to do home composting during COVID, so that's up there. Or you can attend an in-person workshop with us on the 27th of March, and we'll be running through those 3 different systems: compost, worm farm, and bokashi, so how you can get started at home. Another fantastic community resource is a website called sharewaste.com. So this connects people that have organic waste and people that have home composting systems, whether it's a house or a community garden. So if you do find that you do have no way of dealing with your organic waste, but you don't want to put it in the landfill bin, pop on to Share Waste and find someone in your community who will happily take it off your hands. And one final tip for this festive season: you will often be being Australia in summer, we'll often be away from home when we're gathering to celebrate with our friends and family. Picnics. Make sure you try and remember in the back of your mind to bring a container with a lid that you can pop your food waste in, from your food scraps that you can take home with you. Much better than just relying on throwing it in the general waste bin when you're out and about in parks, at the beach and so forth. So yeah, take your container with you. So that's my presentation for this evening. I hope you've got some good ideas, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I'll just stop sharing my screen now. Thanks, Teresa. Unmute.
Yes. Sorry, I suddenly got confused. Thanks. That was really interesting, actually. I even learnt some tips there for what to do with recreating some dishes there. Does anyone have any questions for Nabila at this point? If you'd like to type a question into the chat or unmute yourself.
No, I have a question.
Okay.
The workshop that you're running in March, can anyone attend that?
Yes, it is open to attend. Yeah.
Cool.
We've have left a few extra spots for our member council residents first, but we have also got spots for, yeah, so it's pretty much first in, best dressed.
Right. All right, no questions at this point. We can move on to Pia and Vanessa from the City of Canning. If you'd like to unmute and share your screen, guys.
Righto. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Pia and this is Vanessa. So we're here to talk to you about a Merry Wasteless Christmas, and we've also brought along our new waste mascot, Bindi, who is an Australian ibis, or otherwise known as a bin chicken. So we are just going to take you through a few slides. Firstly, we just want to talk about DIY sustainable gifts. So homemade gifts, they might not be as professional as a store-bought gift, but they are a lot more personal. And really, your imagination here can be endless. There's so many things that you can make at home for a gift to give to someone. We've just listed a few ideas here. You can recycle old cards. You can make them into gift tags or tree decorations. Also, you can check out your op shops or a repair cafe near you to upcycle vintage furniture or clothing. Another great idea is actually placing all of some ingredients to bake cookies or brownies into a food jar and then give the recipe with that food jar as a gift to someone as a really good wasteless gift. A great tip is to also avoid wrapping paper altogether if you can. So you can choose to wrap gifts with tea towels, recycled paper, ribbons, or you could try the Japanese art of gift wrapping, furoshiki, with different bits of material that you've got hanging around. Another good idea for a sustainable gift can be soaps, bath bombs, fizz bombs or face scrubs. They're all very easy to make yourself. There's so many different recipes online that you can access. And you can make your own Christmas tree as well. So you can gather up bits of wood that you find around, branches, or even an old pallet and make your own recycled Christmas tree rather than buying a plastic tree. And these are just some pictures of what we've spoken about. You've got your recycled card, handmade Christmas tree, some soaps, your little jar with a recipe there, and some gifts wrapped with tea towels there. Another good idea, instead of buying an actual present, you can give the gift of an experience. So they can be tickets to an event or a concert. And the great thing about that is that you create memories with someone, but you don't have to consume unnecessary resources with that. So we've listed a lot of other ideas here. Again, the possibilities are endless, but it can be something active, so like a rock climbing activity or horse riding, something relaxing like a massage, dance lessons, kayak lessons. There's so much that you can do. If you're looking for something a bit more community focused, you can always sign a friend up for the local community garden and give them a few seeds. And another good thing is even just to spend time with friends and family, teach them a new skill that you might have. You can cook some food together, take the dog out for a walk. There's so many different things that you can do there without having to buy a present necessarily.
Awesome. All right, so this is one of my favorite pages in the slides, which is Buy Nothing New. So I'm a huge advocate for op shops and charity shops. where you can buy some really amazing things at a very valuable price. So it's something that we like to call sustainable fashion. So to create clothes takes a lot of energy and resources, such as water and transport. So we've got enough clothes and items of clothing and textiles in circulation already that would be fantastic as a present or a gift this Christmas. There's also affordable and original. You just never know what you're going to find at a shop, like Good Sammy's, Salvos, any of those op shop chains. There's just nothing like it. You always find something there that you won't find at your local Kmart or Target or Big W. So I think there's a lot of original things that you find. And often you could, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. There's a lot of high value quality items that can be found in charity shops too. So some people might like a gift from them more so than your local shops. Also, join the Buy Nothing New Facebook pages. There's a lot of gifting going around at this time, especially in my local area. And you can always ask for gifts, donate gifts, and it's all for free. So rather than seeing that those items go to the verge or go to landfill, it's circulating through your neighbours and through your community. I like this one, wasteless dining. So we've got a couple of tips there to reduce your waste and almost eliminate waste while you're Christmas wining and dining. One of the top tips that we keep seeing from across all the different waste educators is everyone should be creating a shopping list when they go out to go grab their food from the shops, and that will save you time and money, so you're not doubling up on a lot of those food items. Ditch the single-use plastic items if you can, and get the kids to do the washing up. I love that one. We see a lot of events where we go out and there's single-use plastic items, which I'm sure we've all got plates and cups at home we can use. But if you do have to opt for single-use, go for the more compostable items such as card, bamboo, or wooden utensils that can be composted, and it's a better benefit for the environment. Loan it rather than own it. If you can borrow from friends or neighbours, again, check out those Buy Nothing New Facebook pages so you don't have to buy new items. So that'll save your pockets as well. I love this one, use nature to help you decorate. It's nice, it's beautiful, it reduces those plastic pieces that you find on your table decorations. Having a nice eucalyptus branch surely will lighten up your table dining experience. And finish it off by creating your own crackers. I'm sure we've all experienced creating our own crackers at one point. I believe we should keep doing that, and it's a fun and engaging thing that we can do with the family as well. And I'd like to thank Recycle Right for giving us this huge list of resources. We'll definitely be sharing around these slides so that you can jump onto some of those links for DIY Christmas inspiration, and also some great videos of what happens at the materials recycling facility right behind Teresa and Elizabeth there. So there's items that shouldn't go in your recycle bin at Christmas time, and those YouTube videos will tell you why. So I think that would be it from us at Canning. Any questions at all?
Actually, one more thing to bring up before we wrap up. Speaking of reusing and regifting items, the City of Canning is actually opening its first reuse market on Saturday the 19th of December.
This Saturday?
At 8 o'clock until 1 o'clock. So if anybody is keen to come and grab a bargain, come and check out our reuse market at our waste transfer station, 81 Ranford Road in Canning Vale. Heaps of cool stuff there at rock bottom prices. And you're diverting away from landfill as well. That's it from us.
Perfect. Thanks so much, guys. That was really interesting. Anyone have any questions for Pierre and Vanessa?
Give us the questions.
While we're waiting for some questions, perhaps, I'll just read out some of the comments that have been put in the chats. So Felicity Barstow suggested don't forget worm farms, also great for food scraps. That's true. My worms are always calling, saying me, choose me, instead of the compost bin. Nabila's put the links for the WMRC YouTube channel and also the link for their organic compost worm farm and bokashi workshop. So you just have a look in the chat for that. Grainy, sorry, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, says that her family are used to receiving gifts in old Bob's shoe store bags, and she always snaffles the bag once it's been opened and reuses that. Liz has been shopping at the op shops for scarves to wrap gifts in the other day, so you can get them for a couple of dollars, and they've got some lovely material there that you can find. Liz is, I think, going to be posting the links in the chat as well for those, the Recycle Right YouTube channel and for the DIY gift ideas and the videos of the material recovery facility behind us. So yeah, just if you guys are confused about what goes into what bin, you can visit the Recycle Right website, which is recycleright.wa.gov.au. And there we have all sorts of information. You can find out what goes in what bin. You can find out where to drop off things that don't go into your curbside bins to a drop-off centre or to a hazardous waste centre or transfer centre. So you just type in your address and it tells you your nearest location. There's an A to Z guide of what materials goes where. And you can also download an app for Apple or Android phones. So the links are all there, and Liz will post the links, I believe, in the chat as well. So we still don't have any questions.
I'll ask a question if that's okay for the Canning girls. So you mentioned making your own Christmas crackers. I've never done that before. And are you referring to the instructions that are posted on Recycle Right of how to make a cracker? Because I'd love to do it, but I'm keen if there's a little video or something that I could watch. Is that what you were meaning?
Yeah, we can definitely send a link as well. There's plenty up there on YouTube of different ways of creating Christmas crackers and what you can put in. I've heard that people are more fond of using the paper towel roll instead of the toilet roll, just for hygiene measures. So if you do have spare paper towel rolls lying around, definitely make some Christmas crackers out of there. Elizabeth's just popped up a link for Christmas crackers as well. But there's plenty out there, and lots of really groovy ideas of what you can actually put in there that's sustainable and it's more, it just goes beyond the lollies, little different items that you can pop in there as well.
Just to add, the video that we've got on the Recycle Right is to make a origami sort of triangle, not triangle, pyramid type cracker. So you can Google to get the actual template for that. We can share it with the people who are attending probably later. I don't think we've got that to hand. I made all my crackers last year out of toilet rolls and paper that I had. People often use the, is it Who Gives a Crap toilet paper is wrapped in paper, and they save that to make crackers.
I'm going to plan ahead next year and start saving the rolls and the wrapping with more lead time. Not quite organised enough for this year. But I did see that origami cracker video, and they look amazing. They're great. Thanks for sharing that.
Cool. We've got a question from Colleen Kelly. When will City of Canning have a repair cafe?
Hopefully next year. We are speaking to some of the repair cafe organisers. So we're looking at, potentially next year. So keep your eyes peeled. We would definitely be putting that on our social media accounts and also on our newsletters and all of our other communications. So when that does happen, we'll definitely make sure that our residents are informed of that and anyone else.
And can I add about that, just because I'm involved in Repair Cafe in my local area, and we always need people in the community to help drive Repair Cafe, because it's a community kind of group that's driven from people within the community. So if the City of Canning's helping to support the community do it, that's really amazing. But you don't have to be able to fix stuff. You don't have to be a repairer to be involved in Repair Cafe. I can't fix a thing, and I'm at the desk, you know, helping to check people in and take them to the repair station. So yeah, if that's something that you might be interested in, keep a lookout.
Just to briefly explain the Repair Cafe, Gail's just asking, Isabel, can you just explain what the concept is there?
Yeah, sure. So it's a global movement, basically. Repair Cafe, the actual brand, you have to kind of you have to join it. So you need to have some financial support to be able to cover off your insurances and to kind of be able to access and use the brand and logo of the Repair Cafe. There's a group in Vic Park called Repair Lab, so they do exactly the same thing, but they were basically the first, started by, you know, like-minded people in the community who wanted to be able to help people keep things out of landfill. And these days, the cost of repairing things can often be more expensive than what you purchase for the item, particularly if you bought something that was really affordable, or perhaps you got it at a really good price. So yeah, it's just a group of people in a cafe in your community, and they meet usually once a month, whether it's on a Saturday or a Sunday typically, and anyone can come down and bring items that they need to get repaired. We try and keep it to one item if possible per person. It's done on donation, so there's not a fixed cost, and you just give what you want to, and that money is used to help pay for insurances, buy new equipment for the people that are actually giving up their time, so that if they need to have an item to help repair, then they can have that available. And it's usually things like general repairs, electrical, there's textiles, and you know, if there's somebody in the community that's amazing at a certain item, then that might be something really special that your area has. So yeah, get your thinking caps on and see if you might be able to contribute in some way.
Great, thank you. We have another question. Can meat bones go in the FOGO bin? Isabel,
Yes.
you can answer that one too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm biased because I work for the regional council that has rolled out one FOGO bin and soon to be another. So Bassendean and then Bayswater. We have 4 more councils to go. But basically, a FOGO bin can take anything that your compost bin can. But we sometimes say and more, depending upon, because composting is quite personal in the sense that some people put meat in their compost bin if they're, you know, really amazing at composting, but bones inside a FOGO bin, no problem. Whole chicken carcasses, yeah, no dramas at all.
Yeah, you can also add like shredded paper, and I think we mentioned before paper plates and napkins and tissues into the FOGO bin. Because it's processed at such a high temperature, that all gets broken down. One thing to keep out of the FOGO bin though is the bioplastics, or things like, maybe Liz can explain a bit more about this. I'm looking at her.
So things like the BioPack cups, which say they're certified compostable because they act like plastic and they're designed to be durable like a plastic, they're more than likely going to need a lot more time composting than what our FOGO materials usually have. So at the moment we're saying no to those. We're also saying no in the FOGO bins to things like that because it does look like plastic. So there are people who go through, at least in our composting facility, and do a pre-sort of the FOGO materials, so the stuff in the FOGO bins, and they're pulling out anything that looks like it shouldn't be in there. So they're automatically going to pull out something that looks like a plastic cup, a plastic bag, a takeaway coffee cup. There's lots of those out there now that say certified compostable. I guess the other thing to look for as well is that it is actually certified compostable to Australian standards, because there's a big difference between biodegradable, there's a few other terms out there, but the one you're looking for is the certified compostable with a little green leaf symbol on it. The other one that we've found a lot of our residents are getting caught up with recently is the sugarcane bags. So it's a little bit of what we call greenwashing going on there. So where companies making their products look much better for the environment than it maybe is. And one of those is the bags that you can get that are made of 50% renewable. I keep on doing quotations, but it's quite applicable. So it's 50% renewable sugarcane, but in reality, or 20% renewable sugarcane, that sort of thing. But you've got to think, in reality, what is the other 50% or the other 80% of that product? And it's generally going to be a plastic or something that isn't compostable and isn't able to go into a FOGO bin. So I know for a lot of people, you probably don't have a FOGO bin yet, unless you're in one of those 4 councils that we were talking about earlier, but it is something that is going to be rolled out across Perth eventually, hopefully soon. So it's just something to keep in mind. I guess the other thing to note again is that doesn't really matter which bin system you're on at the moment, those recycling rules are the same across Perth. It's something that all the councils and the recycling facilities have come together to agree on. So it's sort of taking a little while for the message to get out there, but it is a really handy thing for us because it means that it doesn't really matter which council you're in, it's all sort of the same rules. And so if you are wondering about what those rules are, or you're a little bit confused about a sort of little item, not sure where to pop it, just jump onto the RecycleRate website. So we actually host the official A to Z list of items and what to do with them for Perth. And that is where you can find all the little bits and bobs where you're not sure what to do with them. So things like blister packs, paper towels, Christmas decorations, those sort of stuff, they're all up on the RecycleRate website. We've also got another question. Old cotton enviro-friendly shopping bags, whereabouts should they be disposed of? Does one of our presenters want to answer that one? I think the person asking the question might mean like the old Coles bags or something.
I can have a go. I'm not 100% sure what Matthew's referring to, but if it is the old Coles and Woolies sort of shopping bags like with the plastic in it, they can be recycled through the Red Cycle soft plastic recycling at Coles and Woolies. If it is a cotton, so like a canvas cotton fabric bag, that isn't going to be accepted through the soft plastics. And H&M and Zara both offer fabric recycling service, so you can take any textiles, whether clothing or other fabrics, to put in their fabric recycling at their stores. So
we've got another question. I have a neighbour who put in dog poop bags in my FOGO bin.
Isabel, I see you smiling.
We love talking about poop in Wasted. I don't want to try your name again. I'm going to stuff it up. But I think I have a neighbour who put dog in dog poop. So are the bags the plastic bags? Because then that's a deal breaker. But are they, if your park has a compostable dog poop bag, which some councils do, particularly councils that have got FOGO, then that's not an issue. At least for the processing. You might not like it if you don't have a dog and you think it's a bit yuck, but certainly from a processing perspective, in a certified compostable bag with the seedling logo, dog poop, kitty litter, no problem.
Thanks. Any more questions?
Fair enough.
You need to tell us how to say it.
Yeah.
We've got about 10. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Oh, look, hello, it's me. I'm Grania.
There we go.
Unpronounceable name. So I'll mute myself again, but thank you very much, everyone, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? We're on 7:50, so we do have a few more minutes left. But if everyone feels that they've got all their questions answered,
I guess this is your opportunity to pick our brains, all your weird and wonderful waste questions. And if you do think of anything afterwards, feel free to shoot us an email or jump onto the RecycleRate Facebook or the City of Canning Facebook, all those sorts of things. Great resources for the little what to do with different things. And then we also do run tours of our recycling facility here at the Regional Resource Recovery Centre, and they're free, and we run the community tours that are open to everyone once a month. We've got our next one coming up on January 16th. So if you want to see what happens to your recycling once it leaves the curb, or you've got any other questions you want to throw at us, feel free to come along to one of those.
There was asking about tins. What do we do with the lids?
Maybe Canning wants to take a shot at that one.
Sorry, we did get that.
We missed that. We didn't hear that.
Gail is asking about tins. When you remove the lids from a tin, what do we do with the lids?
So if we're removing the lid from the tin, if it's a metal lid, that'll be able to go in recycling as well. So if you're thinking of your like beans or your coconut milk, those lids, they can come off as long as that container is rinsed, that can go into the recycling bin. If you're thinking about a metal jar lid with, well, maybe not in this instance, but still with a glass jar and a metal lid, we just separate those and both can go into the recycling bin.
Yeah, because here at the material recovery facility, we have a magnetic stream, so it picks up all the metals out of the stream so that could go into the right spot, basically.
Oh, what about long life containers? Oh, we love this question. I'm going to take that because I love this question. So long life milk containers are unfortunately one that we can't take in the recycling bin. So if they're the ones that are silver lined, they're often made by a company called Tetra Pak. So you might hear your local waste education officer call them a Tetra Pak. So basically the silver lined containers are made of 3 different materials. So you've got very, very, very thin layers of plastic, paper, cardboard type thing, and then the alfoil. And then you've also got like the plastic lid and the little wrinkle thing and all of that as well. And because they're made of so many different materials stuck together in such fine layers, we can't actually pull those apart at a facility like this to be able to recycle them properly. And most places really around the world aren't able to do that either. So those ones unfortunately have to go in your general waste bin. I guess the thing to point out with those is that a lot of them have the little triangle symbol on there that looks like a recycling triangle. We do try to steer people away from looking at those because that little symbol just means that it could, in theory, be recycled somewhere in the world, not necessarily that it can be recycled in your local area. So a good one to just look at your council recycling rules or jump onto the Recycle Right website rather than just looking at what's on the packaging. There is some recycling labelling that's coming out that's helping. It's the Australasian recycling labels, and they were made by Planet Arc, and they do cover most things, but unfortunately with Tetra Paks, it's the one thing where WA, it's a bit different to the rest of Australia.
Any more questions?
About 5 minutes left.
So Gail is asking about Sara Lee ice cream. Looked like it was cardboard, but must have been sealed to keep water in.
Does one of our presenters want to take that one? Maybe Isabel?
I don't mind. So yeah, it is a bit of a tricky one, I guess, but it's paper when it would have a plastic lining. I would liken it probably to a milk carton because it has to have a bit of a plastic coating so you don't get ice cream all over you when you're leaving the shop if it gets a bit melty. So to me, it's a similar material. So then I would put it into my recycling bin, just always make sure lid's off and it's clean and empty.
With the cartons, Isabel's talking about is the milk cartons like the 1 litre ones or the juice cartons that you get, not the ones that are silver lined. So the thing with those is they do have a very, very, very fine plastic layer, the like 1 litre milk cartons, but it's so fine that it's okay to be recycled. It does, it's able to be skimmed off during the repulping process when it is reprocessed. So it's sort of a, it's not ideal, but it's okay, we can take it. Whereas something like the Tetra Paks is a much harder one for us to deal with at the facilities.
All right, I think we might call it a night there. I'd like to thank very, very much our presenters for staying up a bit late from the normal working day. So thanks to Isabel from the Eastern Metropolitan Regional Council. Thanks to Nabila from the Western Metropolitan Regional Council. And thanks to Pia and Vanessa from the City of Canning. So this presentation, like I said, has been recorded. We will be posting that on the Recycle Right YouTube channel. So you can go back and listen to this again, or share it with any friends if you found some of the information here useful. So thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, Liz. And everyone have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you
Everyone.
all.
See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.